Again, YouTube's live offering is new.
Oh yeah, it could just be a little buggy, I guess.
Yeah, that's why I noticed even after we did our last uh, chat, there was an update available. So I figured
Yeah, I
between
went ahead
you
and I got that taken care of. I remember you mentioned that, so I
and
went ahead and downloaded it.
interaction is a lot smoother too. Your Wi-Fi issue was fixed with the iOS update.
Was it?
It looks like good. I mean, it's already obvious.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah, I tell you what, I'm actually looking forward to them expanding this. That way
yeah,
we can go live off just the PC. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Well, if you read that, according to the disclaimer on there, it looks like that might actually be available to some fellow YouTubers. It just maybe you have to have a certain subscriber count or something like
Yeah, who
that to
knows?
get those features.
Yeah, because it's unrealistic. I mean, some of these top producers, some of these really high quality YouTubers that go live, you
Right.
expect them to do this through a telephone.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I'll tell you what. Since our last live stream, I've had a few days actually sit around and play with this thing. It's very impressive
Good.
to say,
Well, for the
but
money, yeah, I would imagine. I mean,
for the
obviously,
money, I can definitely recommend to my viewers as well as yours that the $100 budget build, go for it. If you already have it laying around, go for it.
yeah,
But if you don't already have it laying around and you are looking for your first PC, or maybe you haven't
right.
had one in a while, I probably would recommend to at least at the bare minimum go to the store and probably pick up an i5 that's already upgradable that way. Because I'm telling you, you go pick up an i5 with 4 gigabytes of RAM and a 500 gigabyte SSD, you're gonna outgrow that quickly. You're gonna want at least 16 gigabytes of RAM in today's society,
That's
and
my
that's just for not for gaming. That's for basic tasks.
yeah. A lot of people don't realize what RAM is. It is what stores everything on
It,
this.
it definitely was probably the most aside from just having the SSD overall made the performance a lot faster. I can't tell you what battery life looks like just because my battery doesn't work. I still need to replace that. But the SSD was definitely a significant upgrade. But where the RAM really shined at is your ability to be able to multitask now.
Oh, right,
Versus if you just had, let's say, the internet browser open and maybe you were going through some of your files and just a quick going back and forth between those two applications would, I wouldn't say be buggy, but a little laggy. You've noticed some performance lag going in between. With having 16 gigabytes of RAM, I've noticed that I can have a full game running in the background,
right.
OBS Studio, a browser with 16 tabs open. You know what I mean?
So you
And
got
it's just,
OBS working? You got a live broadcast working?
I don't have, I haven't broadcasted yet. I just been kind of tinkering because I'm still learning the
Right.
platform. So before I go live, obviously I want to have everything figured out. But I've been doing recording, do little test sessions, what have you.
Cool. Yeah.
My main thing is which I'll probably privately chat you or call you and we'll talk about that, is I'm having a hard time getting my in the background. Let's say I'll have my floating head, right?
Right.
And then I'll have whatever I'm doing in the background, right?
Yeah.
I can't hear the audio in the background.
You're gonna need another microphone. I mean, I literally have more. I have probably four microphones. You can give yourself a lapel mic, but
I can hear myself, but I can't
right.
hear the content that I'm trying to show, the pre-recorded content, or even if it's live. As I was live recording that game, it would record my floating head and
Right.
record the game in the background,
All right.
but it
So
wouldn't
this
record the audio.
this is how I've got multiple microphones plugged into one computer input.
So you
So
got like
that
a whole DJ setup.
yeah, well, it's only like 150 bucks, but it's the Yamaha MG10, and it
Okay.
allows you to take 10 microphones or input. So like when I take a phone call, I can plug my phone into this thing so that the phone call is loud and clear.
No, no kidding.
Yeah. So if you're having a conversation with one of your clients, you can take that detailed oriented conversation and then everyone gets to eavesdrop.
Okay, right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I have another proc. Actually, wrote down a couple of points,
Right.
but
So that's
I'm
what
having a problem with
really
that. And the
what
other problem I'm having is, oh, uh, oh, for example, okay, so I've got So I'll have OBS open, right?
Right.
I'll have my featured game, we'll call it a game, in the background that I'm
Yeah.
showing with my floating head.
Right.
Now, when I go to full screen that game, it still records and everything in the
Right.
background.
Yeah.
But I'm only limited to seeing the game because once the game comes back full screen, it just takes everything back over.
Right.
Everything else still runs in the background. But how would I not bypass that? How would I be able to have OBS on one side and my game on another? Do I need to have a dual screen monitor set up for that?
No. No, what you're going to want to do is create a new scene. So you're going to do an image capture for the game and
Okay.
be pointed at your face, and then that scene will be set up. I know you've seen my videos. You notice how I have two screens and sometimes one?
It just depends on where you're working at.
Right. So basically, if I have two cameras, generally most of what I do is based on two cameras. So I have one camera based on, let's just say, the laptop sitting on the table, and the one camera on my face. I set up multiple scenes so that if I only want one a full screen of just the computer, or may like me earlier today, I was online and it was just my face. I just
Okay.
toggle scenes because a scene is already set up for whatever number of cameras you have, whether it's a one full screen or several. Let's say you have a podcast of seven or eight people. You
Okay.
can scene, so you're toggling in between each person, so you're constantly toggling as each person talks. That's why it looks professional on a really well set up podcast.
Oh, okay. I see.
All they're doing
So,
is they got a
but
little,
but would it be beneficial for me to go ahead and add a second screen and another monitor in here?
yeah. I mean, I that's what I have here. I have a second screen just
Well,
because
because
it's
I was going to ask you if I don't have my old laptop in here with me, but
right.
looking on that laptop, I have an HDMI port
Yeah,
and I have a VGA port where I can
I
run two
think
different monitors.
on that era of Dell, you should be able to do by default use both. I just remember you are powering multiple devices, so you might give up a little bit of horsepower if the
CPU.
resolution is too high. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that's one little shortcut. If you do want to dumb down your resolution, you can potentially get some horsepower back. It's sort of like
Okay.
weight off of a car.
Well, because on this one, on the one that we upgraded, I do have an HDMI port on there,
Right.
so I can run one external monitor. Now, can I do another monitor through a USB port?
Yeah, you can. Well, that thing doesn't have USB-C. USB-A doesn't really have native support for that, but USB-C would. But we're not. Well, you don't have USB-C. The
So
only
I
thing
would need to upgrade.
that when you use a HDMI screen is that you still don't toggle off the audio because HDMI is also a home theater standard. So you can accidentally shove the audio into the screen that might not have any speakers.
Okay.
It's but it's just an easy mistake. It'll just hijack the audio from the analog audio.
Well, I'll tell you what. While we're in here,
Yeah.
now that I have figured out a few things, um, kind of got it set up a little weird in here right now. I've been a really busy day in here. Been
Sounds
a
like
lot of I had a lot of sales and stuff today.
right.
But if you notice, like that literally just booted on like immediately. Like it was
Right.
instantaneous. I mean, everything is just instantaneous. Like there's no load times. This is what we call. This is Fallout New Vegas.
Right.
I have renamed it to Mod Vegas, and I will tell
Okay.
you why we renamed it to Mod Vegas. We are running Fallout New Vegas in the highest of the highest settings that you can
Real.
possibly run. And
All
I'm
right.
also running about 30 mods too,
All
which
right.
also will eat into performance. And let me show you the performance of this game from
Nope.
low. And then here we have our statistics on what it's using, right?
Yeah.
So let's load this game up, and I will show you some good and bad things about this that I've noticed so far. I mean, that's just instant. I mean, forever. Like, when I were to go load this before, like we would still be waiting for all this to load up. Still,
How old is this game?
this is a 20-year-old game, and
How
we're
old?
playing it on a 10-year-old system.
Yeah. Okay. So the computer is still it's a higher end computer given the age of the game. If this was a
Right.
game, a 6 or 7 year old computer is gonna
Now, on the console that this game originally launched on, the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 era,
right.
this computer has probably easily double better graphics on what
Right.
it come out of. So it's like playing this game you almost could fool me and say this game come out 5 years ago, and I'd probably believe you playing it on this system.
Really?
Yeah, it's that significant.
All right.
Now I'll show you some key points here to where I think today's discussion is all about what we discussed about external USD or external GPUs,
Right.
and why I think it may or may not be a good idea for this.
Well,
So
that's
if
the
we notice here, we're playing the game. We are in the top of the line graphics. Like the graphics literally cannot get any better
got it.
as far as like the settings. Like there's nothing else that we could tweak it.
Got it.
Now, if we go down here to our statistics, I don't know if you can read that,
Now,
but we're using pretty much 100. We're using 100% GPU all the time.
got it. So that's probably your bottleneck.
So we're bottlenecked out at the GPU, correct? Now, if you look, even when I get into like a fight or some high intensity graphics,
right.
the most CPU will shoot up to is like 63%. So we're still leaving like 37% worth of GPU on this game.
Got it.
Or CPU, versus rather. Now to go back and discuss about the whole external GPU thing. Like looking at this, back to the game here, because it's about the only thing that we would really need an external GPU for.
Hold on. You're breaking up a little bit.
Or the GPU,
Right.
ultra settings, and there's no stutter, no lagging, no nothing.
Right.
And but like I said, on its most fiercest, loading tables, it's only using about 63% of that CPU. So I'm thinking a GPU might make. I don't even know if it would have a noticeable difference with graphics, to be honest, because we're already running at the highest of the high. You know what I mean?
And I don't even know if the ultimate CPU is strong enough to power an external.
Graphics card.
We had a conversation a few weeks ago. You need to make sure your computer can power the more powerful hardware.
So I think with this pretty much this $100 machine that we put together here, I think it's perfect. I mean, I don't think there's really nothing else that you could really. I mean, I guess you could if you wanted to go overkill. So we could do that. But my thing is I think I have built my personal laptop for my gaming, vehicle tuning, and what have you.
Right.
But to get to the point, I still think I need a better PC for the studio. So I think I might want to reconsider setting a budget aside and building a PC, an actual desktop PC from scratch.
Well, that would be fun. I mean, you'll learn a little bit by putting yourself together a computer. And ultimately, I think your CPU, as far as bottlenecks go, is the actual component that is slowing down everything else. The CPU, the SSD put in there basically unlocked everything else.
Right. And like I said, for what it is, it's great to game on. Maybe doing streaming like we're doing, what have you. But I think when it comes into going using Adobe products like Photoshop and what have you, I don't think it's going to have that. You know what I mean? That power.
Right.
I'll probably be able to do some. I would say that if I were to be video editing 10 years ago in 720p, it'd be perfect.
Right.
But I think it would really struggle with 1080 doing editing to 1080. 4K, forget about it. You know what I mean? So for what it is, it's perfect, and I think it's going to last to give me a couple more years of great entertainment. I think it's a great entertainment device.
Well, it's I tell a lot of professionals to have a second computer if they're earning a living off of online. They ought to have a second computer, just so that if they have to give it up for a day while I work on it, they can at least have access to the outside world.
Right. And like I said, I think this would be fine in a pinch, but I think I need a stronger daily machine. You know what I mean? So, and I'm thinking stronger than an i5. I'm leaning towards like an i7, maybe even i9. Go balls to the wall.
Well, So I can tell you the reason that game plays so well is because it is 20 years old. The polygon
Right.
is low. So
And that's what I was saying. I think if you have an old laptop sitting around from 2010 to 2015,
yeah,
and it still, it still boots up and it works and what have you, and you're not any serious internet connoisseur, and you're not constantly on. Pretty much, if your need to be online is what pays your bills, then I
right.
think putting $100 in your old laptop get you a couple more years and bring it back to life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is perfect for this. Be great for pretty much entertainment purposes and basic online functions, but for the power that we're looking that I myself personally am needing, I don't think it's going to fit the requirements, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, basically.
So I figured instead of us doing a external GPU, I'm thinking more along the lines here of what could we build budget minded that could perform with something that we can go buy at, say, Best Buy right now for about $1,000.
Best Buy doesn't actually. Best Buy is a lot better than they used to be as far as buying locally. But there are a few things like I don't think you can actually buy an actual CPU. You can buy a case, you can buy a motherboard, but obviously they still aren't in a situation where it's not like a gourmet offering where you have all sorts of selective alternatives. You might still need to buy online if you really want a choice. When a customer comes to me and they tell me they're interested in building their own computer, you got PCPer.com, which is a website where they have a small, medium, and large offering. They don't sell the hardware, although they have Amazon links and they have affiliate links, so they get their commission. But they have what's called a hardware leaderboard. For like $600, you can build yourself an entry level but modern computer.
Modern computer, right?
Right.
And like I said, I don't want to discourage anybody, because I had quite a bit of fun putting this thing together myself, and I would highly encourage anybody that if you're not playing any kind of modern games or if you're not doing any kind of serious video editing, so pretty much if your gaming library consists of Grand Theft Auto 4 to Pac-Man, this would be a perfect build for somebody. You know what I mean? But
Well,
if
for
you're trying to
someone,
run a more, what's that?
no, I was going to say basically it's also good for anyone who's not a savvy person, but they are the typical.
Correct. And I think it would give someone like me, it was a great learning experience for me.
Yeah,
So it'd give you an experience to build a better device in the future.
yes, yeah,
But
and,
if you're trying to run something like GTA 5 or Forza or something, even
right.
with an external GPU, I don't think if it was an i5, it might have the processing power to run one of those newer games. But even if this was an i5 model with an external GPU, I still think it would struggle to give you Xbox One quality graphics.
Yeah, yeah.
So, in my personal opinion, build a better machine if you're trying to play later games. So,
Well, not just that, but the hardware is optimized for the newer software, and the newer software is optimized for the newer hardware. When you take, well, in your case, you got old games on older hardware that's actually
right,
would have been considered a higher end offering as far as the hardware goes.
right,
But if you take a newer game, you're not going to take advantage of the latest and greatest offerings if the hardware isn't sort of on par.
heard that, right,
Yeah. So you really, if you want the best experience, you want the software to be released at a similar amount of time, maybe very similar, but not necessarily the same as the hardware. Actually, it might actually be better if the software came out before the hardware because you're always going to have bugs when something's brand new.
yeah, that gives them time to patch things, right,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think we're looking at pretty much a full PC build here.
So go
I
to
was gonna do as much local shopping as I could, try and maybe find a case, score a case for 10, $20, something secondhand.
Okay. Yeah. If you want to get used, that's fine, especially a case because we're not dealing with hardware that would ever fail. Technically, theoretically, you get a full, what you're looking for, what I recommend is a full ATX case. So it might be a shorter tower, but full ATX is the industry standard for a full size motherboard.
Okay.
So if
Now,
you,
what do you how do you feel about use a secondhand perform or secondhand parts such as motherboards, GPUs, and what have you?
well, I mean, you don't know what you're being sold. It's sort of like, it's not the best analogy to compare it to a used car because
Right,
you drive that thing around town or around the block to make sure it still drives.
right,
someone sells you a bad motherboard, you're only going to find out the hard way that it's not a working motherboard.
when you put it all together,
Right.
right?
And at that point,
Well,
you're not going to get your money back from someone on the corner.
well, yeah. See, unfortunately, that's the ugly truth about that.
Right.
But
No,
I don't think there'd be any shame in like buying a secondhand case. You know, what do
no.
you think about that?
Right. Cases last a long time. Monitors last a long time. Yeah, but memory, CPU, motherboard, GPU, power supply, I would go ahead and spend the money. I'm telling you, if you go to PCPer.com, you'll see a list of their hardware leaderboard opportunities, and just their entry level offering is only like $600.
Okay. Well, what do you think we should do? You think we should do an Intel or an AMD style build?
That's personal opportunity. That's personal choice. But I don't. I'm not. It's Ford or Chevy. You're going to have mechanics that are always teasing each other about which is
I
better.
had an AMD, a DDR3 AMD that I had, and I don't think I really had any real complaints about it. This is my first time really dabbling with Intel, to be honest.
Well,
Other than a factory computer, so
have a reputation. Back when that computer was new, if it was an AMD, it would have had a reputation for overheating. I don't
overheating.
think AMD hardware has that reputation anymore.
Because I'm thinking, if we could source all the hardware and get it relatively cheap, we might do something crazy like a custom water loop or something like
Oh yeah,
that.
water cooling is actually not that expensive. A run
Yeah,
of
yeah,
the
not at
water,
all.
no, it's less than $100 for the hardware, and potentially it could double the life expectancy of your hardware.
Of your hardware, right?
Yeah, just keep an eye on it. Theoretically, the water cooling is a little less reliable. So every 3 or 4 years it might fail, but at $60 to $100, I wouldn't think it was that big a deal.
Right. My only concerns with that is I know they're tight fitting systems, and I obviously want to be able to have access to it to be able to change my fluids out every few months or what have you, whatever the intervals may be.
Well, so the entry stuff, only the higher end water cooling has swappable fluid. It's an enclosed system that never gets. It's not like a car. The
So it's
car
like a one and done type
swap
deal.
out the cooling on a $60 or $70 water cooled Corsair setup. It's forever,
Okay.
and you get 3 to 5 years of service out of it.
Okay, so it's just a one and done, fill up and be done type deals.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
But water cooling is obviously better than air cooling.
So I think what we're looking at here is I'm wanting to piece together a pretty much a budget desktop that could keep up with everything I need to do, and I definitely I think I'm set on a 3 monitor setup.
Yeah. Yeah. Or do you want to go to PCPer.com and see what your options are?
Yeah, actually, why not? I'm right in front of the
Yeah,
computer.
that's what I kept trying to hint. And then they're going to have
PCPro.com.
a leaderboard. And you don't have to get all those parts, but the thing is, these are tried and true parts with that combination. So they already know that everything should theoretically work. You, as a mechanic, know that there are all sorts of aftermarket parts for cars, and
Oh
sometimes
yeah,
part that just doesn't work right. Sometimes it doesn't even fit like it's supposed to.
yeah. I run into that, especially with Chinese parts and things
Right.
sourced off Amazon.
Same thing.
Almost always, you got to modify them. Almost
Yeah.
always. All right, I'm on PC Pro.
PCPer.com.
Oh, oh, okay. That's definitely a different website. All right, what am I looking for here? That's probably
Leaderboard.
HW leaderboard,
Yeah.
hardware leaderboard. Ooh, that's expensive.
Well, they have a small, medium, and large offering.
The Dream System. Ooh.
Yeah.
It looks fancy, but
Let's see here.
That RTX 4090, man. I hear everybody that's the go-to to get. I think it'd be overkill for anything that I use. So I mainly do a lot of old school gaming, if anything. Every now and again, I might fire up a new title, but very rare.
How old is your kid?
My oldest is 12. My
Yeah, well,
youngest is
he's going to be
4.
more and more interested in a more powerful system too. So, okay, so yeah, the Dream system is $4,500, but if you scroll down to the bottom, let's see here.
You have 634 on the low end.
Yeah, the low end, $600. Yeah.
Well, that's an AMD style system.
Yeah, the next one up is, let's see. Oh yeah, so the mid-range system is not quite twice as much, but that's the Intel opportunity. And of course, if you get a secondhand case, you'll be fine there.
I'm worried about this video card. I've actually seen a review on the video card through Linus Tech Tips, and it's one of the
Right.
ones that doesn't have an external power source, so it just powers off the motherboard. I'm wondering. I'm thinking that might not be powerful enough.
No, yeah, onboard graphics is never gaming caliber. Yeah. So even if you only get an eight, well, that's what I did for my YouTube computer. I had to spend $80 on an entry-level video card, but it's still an upgrade from the onboard graphics.
Right. Did you have to go into BIOS and turn off your onboard graphics?
No, I think by default Dell is real good about just care. It stays on by default.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Like I got this TV over my shoulder. That's my brand new LG C2, and it's a 4K TV, and it fires real well.
See, I want to go. I want 4K. That's my thing.
But like I said, I'm not gaming. If I tried to run a game off of that, this computer would fall to its knees.
Would it?
Yeah, because at
Yeah.
four,
Yeah, on an $80 graphics card. Yeah, of course it would. Yeah.
an $80 graphics card trying to put. Well, I don't think I'm running 4K right now, but if I tried to do 4K, even with a better video card, the performance would not be good.
I would actually argue that you would probably crash upon startup.
Well, not just that, I can tell you because I don't even have. Here, I'll show you what my machine is. So this is my main YouTube computer. You can see my SSD just hanging by a cable, but my power supply right here won't even accommodate a mid-grade video card because it doesn't have the auxiliary PCIe cabling. So
Right.
video card, which is right, well, that's also an audio card, but my video card doesn't have any auxiliary power needed.
Oh, you're not running onboard audio. You're running an actual audio card.
Yeah, that's what I had to do that to make my OBS work properly. Because,
Okay.
yeah, so that's the other thing you might want to consider upgrading.
Right.
Because
Well, I'm looking at on the low end.
board audio not
It's
working.
got a sound card, but I'm just worried it's not going to be a suitable sound card, so to speak.
Well, just get that sound card you see in the system, the Creative Sound Blaster SE. That's basically the same one I have.
Sound Blaster, yep, that's what they got.
This is the cheap one, not that. Which one are we looking at? Sound Blaster, sound card,
The
audio.
SE. That's for the mid-range model, the SE.
Yeah, the Audio G for $44. That's all you'd need, and that would offload. Basically, the reason it makes your system faster is because it offloads the CPU. Because the CPU otherwise has to do the audio processing.
I'm kind of liking this high-end model.
Yeah, well, if you want to spend $4,500.
No, this one's only $21.19, but
the next one up down.
I feel like it's expensive because of the graphics card, but I feel like I can get away with a $400 graphics card.
Yeah,
I don't need a $1,000
$860 for a video card. Yeah, for the GeForce RTX 3080. Yeah.
The reason why I like this one because I've noticed that the motherboard has Wi-Fi built in.
Right.
I think I would like that better than having an adapter. I have to dongle it somewhere.
Well, I can tell you if you get an external. So if you do the internal Wi-Fi also has an external Wi-Fi antenna. You want to get that antenna up on the air. Let me show you. I got one right here. Where is it? Here. So when you buy a computer, this is actually the antenna for a desktop computer, and then you got the antenna, the little radio connectors right there.
Okay.
Really, this antenna, it allows the signal to be transmitted and received from outside the case.
Okay.
You
Yeah, I
gotta,
think I would like that a lot better than having an external card
yeah.
or an external dongle.
But my point is, this is like a 3-foot cable. You get this up on a shelf, and it's going to perform better.
Right. Yeah, I'll probably put that on the top shelf up here. Well, it's got crucial RAM is what it comes with. I like that.
Yeah, so that they call it their hardware leaderboard apparently because they try it all out in this combination.
Now I see the most expensive part about this build is this RTX 3080. I
Yeah,
don't think I need an RTX 3080. I can go with a cheaper variant card.
right. Got it.
But I do like everything. I like the built-in Wi-Fi. I like the sound card. The power supply is 850 watts.
Yeah, you can't go wrong. Bigger numbers are always better. There's no such thing as overkill.
Right. And there's all and it looks like I'll have plenty of room to grow if I so choose.
Let me see the
And it's got a
motherboard.
Ryzen 7.
What?
And it's got a Ryzen 7.
Yeah, here. Oh, if you click on the motherboard link, it gives you a visual of how everything's laid out. Let me see here. So it's the MSI Pro X670P.
Yep.
Let me see here. $300 for a motherboard. I'm gonna go online. I want a better visual. Paste. I want to see how that motherboard's laid out. Oh, good. Okay, so I went to GameStop's website. Okay, so it's a mid-tier motherboard basically. So it's got room for two. I think it takes two M2 chip. No, it takes three M2 chips. So M2 is the modern standard for an SSD, which is the newer standard than what I physically walked you through.
It's the long,
Yeah,
skinny
it's
one.
long.
Okay.
It's about the size of a stick of gum.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and it's only about a terabyte per gigabyte. I mean, $100 per gigabyte. About terabyte. I mean, yeah. Let me see here. I'm looking at a visual. I just wanted to see how the motherboard is laid out. It's got three PCIe options. Let me see. You got one USB-C, one onboard HDMI, one display port on board. No, you got two USB-Cs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 USB-As on. Oh, so this motherboard has the Wi-Fi that you want because
Yeah.
it's got the antenna. You basically plug in this antenna to
Yeah.
get performance. Yes, it's got optical audio. But if you're going to be doing OBS, what I had to learn the hard way is that I had to upgrade my audio even before I upgraded the video, and that offloaded a lot of CPU load.
Gave you a lot of power back.
Yes, it did. I was dropping so many frames, it was basically unusable.
See, I think I'd like. I mean, an i9 myself just for future proofing, but
Well,
I don't think I don't think I would need that. I mean,
it's
really.
a 12 engine. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot. I don't
it,
think I need that.
that's a lot of cylinders. I mean, it's bragging rights because you got the bigger numbers, but ultimately, how much more horsepower is it, and what are you going to do with it if you're not racing?
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, that's a good terminology. I mean, you can have all the horsepower in the world, but you can't put it. You can't put the power down to the ground. It's useless.
Yeah, well, racing specifically, because even in a legal environment, you can't, practically speaking, put it all on the ground and not get yourself hurt.
Yeah, true that. AMD Ryzen.
Yeah.
I've heard good and bad things about. I've had an AMD
Well, like I
computer
said,
myself.
that laptop was built. They had a reputation for running hot. So, yeah, I'm just looking at the graphics for that motherboard. If you're going to spend $300 on a motherboard, you can't go wrong. I mean, you can spend more money if you want, but you're not in the market. It's got plenty of, so it's got 6 SATA ports. So it'll actually take 3 M2 SSDs and 6 traditional drives. So if you got a big case, you got plenty of rooms for storage.
Yeah, said I'm liking that one. I'll tell you what, I haven't built any kind of PC, but if I had my way, I would like a front display too, like a front performance display.
And you want to be able to see, well, they all have, most of them have clear windows on the side. Are you talking about a window on the front?
Yeah,
Okay. I mean, the sky's the limit as far as whatever you want new. I'm just saying, if you're in the market for a used one, I mean, a quality case is going to be between $100 and $200.
$200. Yeah,
And of course, that ATX standard hasn't changed in decades, so that's going to last you 2 or 3 builds.
right. Probably be the standard for a while actually,
Right.
so I can always upgrade the case as I go.
Yeah. So I
I'm
think
actually
case, make sure it has plenty of room for drives because you want to be able to store. I mean, I don't know if you're ever going to be in a market for having all sorts of storage because even if you're into games, you're going to want to install it all on one drive if possible and an SSD. So I don't know that if you're ever even going to use those 6 ports, but yeah, you can get up to a 4 terabyte M2 chip in SSD. So if you did that times 3, that's 12 terabytes. And that's not even the SATA ports on the side. I'm looking at a visual on the actual motherboard. That's why I see exactly how it's all laid out. Are you there? Did I lose you? Uh-oh. Let's see here. Did I lose him? Yeah, I think he's got some Are you still there?
right now when I go to full screen in games.
Are you still there?
Yeah, but I'm only limited.
All right. Looks like I'm still live. Looks like our friend Patrick just disappeared. We'll call him back and see if he's still around. These are the sort of conversations you like. Show up when we're live. You can join in the chat or give me a phone call at 855-434-8787. Yeah, it says he left. All right, we're off.